ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒಂದು ಆಗಿತ್ತು.
ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ,
Second
ಎರಡೇ
one.
ಆಗೋದು ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಎರಡು ಆಗೋದು.
ಹ್ಮ್
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Fine, sir.
Good, good.
Yes.
should we start, Arinakshi, or are we expecting more people to join?
Sir, almost 14 students are there. Some of
Right,
the
right.
students are together.
Okay. So should we start then, or maybe give it a couple of minutes more? Maybe around 20-25 students at least.
I think already some 25 students are there. Only login IDs are only 15, sir. Because
Okay.
some students are together, they have joined in a single this thing.
No, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Then I think let's start, and then whoever is joining in will be able to see more, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah. So today, what we will do is, what I have actually done is I have looked into some of the industry learning courses, and this is something that LinkedIn Learning actually offers. Not everybody can access it. If you can access it only if you have a premium subscription. So I have that, and I thought I think one of the, since this is a large class in general with a lot of students from the college, I think what will be good is if I share the learning through videos, and I will play that video. I will share the screen, wherein you will hear from the industry experts directly, and then there's going to be some quiz, some sort of a Q&A, either chat or somebody can raise their hands and talk, etc. I think we'll cover some topics like this in the next today's class and also the next few classes, so that as a group all of you are able to hear directly from the experts in the industry, have a discussion within this group, more than happy to answer questions, etc. And that's how we kind of learn. Now, while listening to this or watching the video, etc., if you are making down the notes, that's absolutely fine. So even if you don't have a premium access to LinkedIn, and if you're not able to access this online, that is okay. As long as you are listening to this, and as long as you are making down the notes or taking down the notes and having that relevant information, whatever you feel should be good enough for you to have that knowledge base, right? So if everybody is okay, I think we have more students joining in. So let them join. In the meanwhile, let me share the screen and the video, and let me know if you're able to hear the sound. Harinakshi, just let me know once I play that. Are you
Okay.
able to see or also hear the noise, so the sound, so that everybody can kind of also see that, right? So
Okay.
so let me share the screen. Okay, the screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let me know if the audio is visible.
Every transformation in
Audio
media
visible?
has had major implications
Is the audio visible? I mean, sorry, audio is audible?
Audible.
Okay,
Audible.
for marketing.
all right.
Think of
So
how the
let me start again from the beginning, so that and I'll play the audio. Students, listen to this, and then we'll go through this as a learning module. So last time, we had a discussion around metaverse and NFTs for marketing. So this is one topic, and few of you also had certain questions in terms of how to use metaverse and NFTs for marketing. We had some Q&As, we had some discussions. So now let's hear from the experts in the industry as to how we can do it, right? So let me play the screen, play the video.
Every transformation in media has had major implications for marketing. Think of how the advent of print produced the golden age of advertising, or how the invention of the internet spawned a new era of digital marketing. Hi, I'm Kathy Hackle, and I'm here to help you navigate the next big change in how we work, socialize, and even shop. It's called the metaverse. But you don't have to take it from me. While it might seem like early days for Web 3.0, analysts expect the metaverse market opportunity to reach 800 billion by 2024. What's important to note is that the metaverse is still nascent, which is why it's important to start thinking about it now. There's an exciting opportunity to build and take part while the groundwork is being laid. The first step, understanding where we are today. So let's bring you up to speed. Over the past few months, you may have heard of major brands entering the metaverse, from Nike to McDonald's to Dolce & Gabbana and more. So, if you've been sitting on the sidelines wondering what to make of the metaverse and you want to know about the metaverse's implications for marketing, this LinkedIn Learning course is for you. Or if you're a communications or creative professional that has already started your company's journey into the metaverse and want to get more knowledge, this course is also for you. As a metaverse strategist, I often find myself having to explain the metaverse to clients and audiences. And I always caveat my explanation by saying that the definition of the metaverse is still being shaped. And while many people agree that this is an important next iteration of digital culture, they don't always agree on the definition. When Web 1.0 was just emerging, we were all trying to use words to describe things that didn't exist. At that time, the internet was called the information superhighway. Now, when was the last time you logged onto the internet and said, I'm getting on the information superhighway? Probably never. We're currently at the end of Web 2.0 and at the beginning of Web 3.0. We're trying to use the language of today to describe the future, which is always a challenge. But as a futurist, this is my job. So this is how I explain the shift that is currently happening. In Web 1.0, we had the internet, which connected us to information at unprecedented speeds and scale. Web 2.0 connected people through the internet, which gave us social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. It also gave us the sharing economy and e-commerce. Web 3.0 is about connecting people, places, and things. Sometimes these people, places, and things can be fully virtual in a fully virtual environment, while at other times they can be in the physical world through augmented reality. This evolution of the web is an important shift in the future of how we communicate, work, shop, and socialize, and it'll impact us today and into the future. Let's get right into it. What is the metaverse? Well, as a term, there currently is no agreed upon definition, and it is not even in the dictionary. The metaverse is still being defined and is still being built. I see the metaverse as the next step in how humans will engage with technology. It is a further convergence of our physical and digital lives. And in some ways, it's about the internet breaking free from the rectangles in our hands, desks, and walls, and being all around us. The metaverse makes our world into a combined experience of virtual and physical. In other words, it's about shared virtual experiences that can happen in the physical as well as the virtual world. Think about it like our digital lifestyles catching up to our physical lives. We're at the end of Web 2.0, which connected people, and heading into Web 3.0, which connects people, places, and things. To me, the metaverse is an extension of what comes next for human creativity. It is also about our identity and about digital ownership. The metaverse with capital M is being built today. There are currently metaverse platforms with a lowercase m that exist, but the greater metaverse is still not here. If you're looking for more of a textbook definition, how's this? The metaverse is the successor of today's mobile internet. Web 1.0 connected information, and that gave us the internet. Web 2.0 connected people, and that gave us social media. Web 3.0 connects people, places, and things, or people, spaces, and assets. We're in the evolution of Web 2.0 and going into Web 3.0. The metaverse will be enabled by many different technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, 5G, edge computing, and beyond. In the metaverse, content is persistent and is comprised of vast amounts of information and activity that stays anchored where you play or go and stays in place even if you aren't there. It is persistent, dynamic, shareable, and 3D machine readable. So far, the metaverse looks like a series of experiments that individually don't portray the whole picture, but collectively start to give it shape. Take Roblox, for example, a global gaming platform that brings people together through play. The company boasts an impressive 43.2 million daily active users worldwide, making it an entire ecosystem complete with its own currency. But Roblox isn't the metaverse in just the same way that Facebook or Google aren't the internet. In fact, a number of virtual spaces have been gaining traction over the past 2 years. I call them metaverse platforms or metaverse gateways. For example, Decentraland is a decentralized world that's owned by its users, who get to vote on how the world operates. Currently, the cheapest plot of land in Decentraland is $11,000, and brands like Samsung are buying up digital real estate for their virtual stores. The excitement surrounding these cyberspaces is creating a metaverse land rush, with some parcels selling for even millions of dollars. Before you open your crypto wallet, it's important to think about how your brand or your company wants to engage in these new spaces. Does owning a digital flagship store make sense? How would you attract people to visit it? And what types of transactions can happen there? Before we end this lesson, I did want to remind you that the metaverse is very nascent. And even if you see the word in many headlines, you are still early. That's why you're here, to level up your knowledge. We should be clear that the metaverse is different from the hardware we use to enter it. Just the same way as the internet isn't the same thing as a computer, or social media isn't the same thing as a smartphone. But let's talk about the underlying technology for a moment, because even though it's not the same thing as the metaverse, it's important to understand how we enter it. While most people may think of virtual reality when they think of the metaverse, shiny headsets like Oculus Quest, virtual reality is only one of the underlying technologies. VR headsets provide immersive experiences where a user is taken out of their own reality and dropped inside a new one. With their sight and sound augmented, it's easy to feel like you're underwater in a shark cage looking at a great white, or inside a zombie apocalypse. But while VR headsets are part of it, if you really want to understand the mechanics of the metaverse, you have to look at gaming. When it comes to recreating worlds and honing the technology to make them come to life in real time, it's gamers who are paving the way. Game designers are the ones dreaming up the metaverse platforms that we're all taking a part in. This means that the cyberspaces we'll occupy were designed with entertainment in mind. Game engines like Unity and Unreal are what enables the real-time processing of virtual environments in a way that's believable. Gaming is also the industry that has been leading the way in terms of 3D design and reconstruction. So it's no surprise that gaming has been touted as the parent of the metaverse by industry experts like Kelly Vero. The metaverse is also being made possible by cloud computing, edge computing, the Internet of Things, and 5G. Cloud computing is the on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage and computing power. Edge computing is the availability to distribute processing resources across multiple devices. The Internet of Things, or IoT, is the connection of everyday objects to the internet, while 5G is enabling faster data transfers via our mobile devices. Together, cloud computing, edge computing, IoT, and 5G make it possible to render rich, fluid experiences that wouldn't otherwise be possible. They're also helping power another mechanism that is central to currency and exchange. Blockchain is one of the building blocks of the metaverse because it is the technology that enables us to have digital ownership of digital assets. Blockchain, in essence, is a decentralized, distributed, and oftentimes public digital ledger consisting of records called blocks that are used to record transactions. All these technologies and many more enable the convergence of our physical and digital worlds and get us closer to that greater vision of the metaverse. This greater vision is being built today, and it'll be built over the next decade. There has been a flurry of activity surrounding the metaverse over the past few years. With all the startups and creatives getting into the space, it's hard to keep track of the constantly changing ecosystem. One thing that has remained consistent is an element of collaboration. In the metaverse, no brand or creator is an island. Successful metaverse moments are almost always marked by people and companies coming together to release something new, whether that's a limited edition virtual sneaker or miniatures of the late fashion designer Karl Lagerfeld. For this reason, the map of the metaverse looks more like a web than a grid. An early player to know about, and one that illustrates the growth in the space, is digital goods company Artifact. Some have called them the supreme of the metaverse, and they've sold non-physical items for thousands of dollars. Artifact was an early experimenter in digital sneakers. Their first NFT, the Cyber Sneaker, was inspired by the Tesla Cybertruck. When artifacts circulated a doctored image of Elon Musk wearing the sneakers, it actually went viral, and many people actually thought the sneakers existed in physical form. The company's ability to create buzz for its products that only exist in virtual form is perhaps what made them very attractive to Nike, who acquired them at the end of last year for an undisclosed amount. In the metaverse, there are also marketplaces, currencies, creators, and collectors. Marketplaces are exactly what they sound like, places of exchange where value is transferred from one person to another. Some popular marketplaces include Nifty Gateway, OpenSea, Known Origin, ARIA Exchange, Rarible, and Super Rare. Currencies in the metaverse are cryptocurrencies, and they're most often represented in coins. Just as the stock market fluctuates in value depending on the economy, so do the value of coins change depending on the ecosystem. According to currency.com, the four biggest metaverse cryptocurrencies are currently Mana, Axis, Sand, and Gala. To me, creators are the celebrities of the metaverse, and they are truly what power the metaverse. And it seems that there are new emerging creatives that we learn about every day. While I won't have time to list them all here, it's important to note that whatever you're into, sneakers, digital art, virtual fashion, there's a creator actually working on it that you should probably look into. An example I always share is Victor Langlois, better known by his handle Ferocious. He is one of the most visible and successful artists in the NFT space. He is known for his art that has sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Krista Kim is a contemporary artist and creator of the Mars House, the first NFT digital house that sold for over $500,000. Through her company Techism, Krista has become a star in the convergence of art and NFTs. Mike Winkelmann, the artist known as Beeple, is an American digital artist, graphic designer, and animator, and I should say legend. He made headlines when he sold a digital artwork in the form of an NFT at Christie's for over $60 million. Game engines like Unity and Unreal, where most games are built, are an important part of the ecosystem as well. Gaming is the on-ramp to the metaverse. That's why Microsoft's historic acquisition of Activision Blizzard for $70 billion was a big signal of gaming's prominence in enabling the metaverse. Last but not certainly least, there are collectors. Collectors are people like you and me who buy into and invest in the digital assets that are being created. Because of the rich ecosystem of the metaverse, there are many opportunities for brands to get involved. This could look like partnering with an existing emerging creative or sponsoring an auction. It could mean developing your own coin or digital good for sale. It could even look like setting up a shop in an existing metaverse platform or outfitting avatars in branded clothing. The possibilities are truly endless. So, what exactly are virtual worlds and virtual goods?
Okay, I'll stop for a moment. What we learned here in the first part is what is metaverse altogether, right? How does the metaverse work? As you heard the instructor say that there is always a person behind, who is creating this digital arts, who is creating this games, who is creating this let's say the coins, or there's a currency world that exists, just like a stock market. There's a meta currency world as well, right, that exists, and that's where the fluctuations happen. So you got an understanding of in general what is metaverse and what is an NFT, right, in terms of how would you, what's the concept, from traditional ways of how we are used to looking at things, as the instructor constantly mentioned, internet 1.0 and internet 2.0, and then right now it's going to be web 3.0, right? So how we are kind of evolving over the time, that's important, right? So I'll pause for a moment and I'll ask from the group if there are any questions right now before we move on to what is marketing in the metaverse and how that is done. So while in this chapter, first we learned about what is metaverse, what is the ecosystem around metaverse, and now we will also see how the marketing is in the metaverse, and that's going to be the next few classes. But let me also pause and see if there are some questions any one of you actually have, and you can post them in the chat as well, or you can ask in the raise your hand and ask as well. I'll just pause for a moment. So any questions around what is metaverse, or where we are headed towards in terms of the metaverse, etc. Anybody? Okay. If there are no questions, then we'll move forward. And then as we move forward, keep the questions coming through, or we'll pause after each section and then we'll ask for questions, etc. as well, right? But then yeah, keep the questions coming through. Okay. Let me now play the let's understand how is marketing in the metaverse. And this is interesting because I think everything that everything the way the metaverse is going to kind of shape up in the future, marketing will play a very important role. And no matter whoever is in whatever role and contributing towards metaverse or the ecosystem, how do you typically take it out to the people? How does people even understand what's happening, what's not happening, what's happening or what's not happening is actually through marketing. So marketing in the metaverse is a pretty interesting kind of concept. So I would want you to listen to the next few chapters, and I'll play the video.
And what do you need to know about them as marketers? A virtual world is an ecosystem in the metaverse where people can come together. More often, this is for the purposes of gaming and entertainment. You actually may be already familiar with virtual worlds if you've played Fortnite, Roblox, Animal Crossing, or been in Meta's Horizons. But there are also up-and-coming spaces such as Decentraland, Upland, Star Atlas, or the Sandbox. Inside these games, there are virtual goods, which are non-physical objects such as tools or even costumes for your avatars, which are referred to as skins. Players spend real money on these digital assets to enhance their in-world experience. So what does this mean for marketers? The opportunity to expose your brand to new audiences is at hand. Brands like Gucci and Nike have carved out their own playgrounds inside virtual worlds as a way of inviting new players to immerse themselves in branded spaces. Both Gucci Garden and Nike Land were entertainment spaces that enabled players to step into the world of high fashion and sports. If creating a whole virtual environment seems daunting, offering virtual goods inside an already existing space is a good way to dip your toes in the water without becoming fully immersed. Apparel brand 100 Thieves did just that when they offered branded apparel to players inside Animal Crossing. We've also seen musicians including Travis Scott, Ariana Grande, and Major Lazer collaborate with Fortnite to bring a musical metaverse experience to life inside the game. BNP Paribas L'Atelier estimates that the virtual economy of virtual goods could be about $100 billion. This is for virtual goods bought inside gaming platforms alone and does not even include NFTs. One could say that gaming is becoming the new social network and the new place where we shop. Just ask any parent with children that play Roblox or Fortnite. Even celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Cardi B have tweeted out about how their kids ask them for Robux, the digital currency inside Roblox. This is just a sign of the times. We can't talk about the metaverse without talking about NFTs. That's non-fungible tokens. According to Google Trend, NFTs became popular at the end of 2020 and into 2021, coinciding with the ongoing pandemic. They've since captured our collective attention. If the metaverse is the new digital village, then crypto and NFTs are its currency. NFTs are essentially a unique and non-interchangeable unit of data stored on a digital ledger, such as a blockchain. You may have heard of forms of cryptocurrency like Bitcoin before. These are fungible tokens. Being fungible can be defined as being interchangeable, since one Bitcoin can be easily exchanged for another, just like $1 can be exchanged for another dollar. NFTs, on the other hand, are not interchangeable, since each of them represents or links to a unique piece of digital media, whether that's art, text, video, or even bits of code. NFTs are typically released in drops, where a limited number of digital media are made available on an NFT marketplace for purchase. If the artist or creator has done a good job promoting their drop, the available items will be sold in minutes, and then resold again and again on the secondary market for even more than their original value. Does this sound familiar? Drops actually became popularized in the 2010s by companies like Supreme, who manufactured hype or desire for seemingly simple products like t-shirts. When the American artist known as Beeple sold a digital artwork at Christie's for over $60 million, it became the most expensive NFT ever sold at auction. It was what I call a metaverse moment that crystallized the hype and frenzy surrounding this new form of digital media. The most common form of NFT is a digital artwork, but like any form of art, the value doesn't just lie in the drawing or canvas itself. There's a layer of prescribed or societal value. Take, for instance, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, a collection of 10,000 computer-generated images of cartoon apes sold as NFTs. Owners of the apes became members of an online club, and they'll often use their apes as a profile picture across social media to signal status. Celebrities like Paris Hilton and Jimmy Fallon are members of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So, what is the NFT opportunity for brands? Over the past year, we've seen everyone from McDonald's to Clinique release their own NFTs to varying degrees of success. Like any form of media or communication, it's important to be strategic. Brands should keep their eyes open for opportunities and synergies. For example, when CAA, the creative artist agency, caught onto the Bored Ape frenzy, they signed Jenkins the Ballet, one of the apes, to represent him across books, film, TV, podcasts, and more. More recently, NFTs have come with not only digital ownership, but also special access and privileges for owners. For example, in October 2021, Dolce & Gabbana sold a collection of NFTs for $5.7 million. Owners acquired not only the digital art objects, but also access to the luxury fashion brand's couture shows. Along the same lines, when Clinique auctioned off 3 NFTs, they came with an assortment of products delivered to the owner once a year over the next decade. I actually advised Clinique on their NFT strategy for this NFT drop. So how does one actually create an NFT? Once you have an image, video, or a bit of text you'd like to make into an NFT, then you need to get a crypto exchange account and a crypto wallet. Then you will need to mint your NFT on an NFT marketplace. There are many marketplaces, but the most popular ones are Super Rare, OpenSea, Rarible, Aria, and many more. Click the Create button and upload your NFT in a format that's accepted by the platform. Once you name your NFT and upload it, it will be created, but will still need to be listed for sale. You'll either be able to auction off your NFT or sell it for a fixed price. I have advised brands like Clinique and Asprey times Bugatti on their NFT strategies. And every day I see new innovations and new ways that brands are using NFTs. It is about digital ownership of digital assets and engaging with communities in new ways. Think about how your brand can leverage its IP or its products and services and engage with clients in new ways. While augmented reality is a technology that has been around for a while, it's gaining new momentum within the context of conversations about the metaverse. Augmented reality is a way to bring the digital world, including any assets you may own in it, into the physical world. This can be a huge unlock for brands wanting to bring their products even closer.
Okay, let me pause for a moment, and I think I received a couple of chats which says the class is not able to hear anything. Is that the case? Are you able to hear the video and the plays, etc.?
So we can hear, sir. That is audible.
Yes, sir, we are audible, but for some time for me it's like getting stuck, not able to hear or not able to see what's happening.
Okay, so maybe the internet issue could be a
Yeah, sir.
challenge. Okay,
Mostly the
but
internet issue.
otherwise, more or less, this is audible, right? You are able to kind of see most of the things,
Yes, sir.
and also hear as well, right? Okay. So there was a question about how will the metaverse develop and change businesses? And in the chat, I had just mentioned that this is the section what we are seeing right now. That how NFTs are created, and that was exactly what the instructor was actually saying right now. When again I kind of paused. So primarily to answer your question, Amit, the way this is going to change the business is, see, for example, we are very used to the physical world, right? And even in the digital world, in the physical world, metaverse is the concept which is just evolving, right? Now it's the same process of how businesses started first in their online venture. So even before Amazons and Flipkarts of the world, they actually came in nobody even knew that, like, okay, things could be sold online. Right. That was the first time, like, we all started to kind of, understand, like, what's an e-commerce, or how does the small shops also get into the e-commerce, etc. So that was, like, the first wave of digital evolution. Now, if you take the same concept to the metaverse, the same brands, like, we heard examples of Nike, or, like, any other Bugatti, or any other brands, that they are the strong retail brands, right? Now, if they have to sell something on a metaverse, then how that would happen is you have to create everything digitally. Like, how do you create things digitally? You have an image of a product, or you have, like, a design of a product. You have different tools to kind of, create an avatar of that, right? And then, like, you upload that content in the metaverse. And whereas, like, people like us who kind of, log into the metaverse and are actually engaging, very similar to how we would do in an online world, like, in terms of going to, maybe, let's say, for example, in Amazon to kind of in a shop, or going to probably a Flipkart to kind of in a shop, we look at the catalogs, we look at the list, and then if you like something, we choose, we add to cart, and then we kind of, use our credit cards, or like, other mechanisms to make a payment. In a case of NFT or a metaverse, the payment is virtual. Like, you have to have, like, your cryptocurrency accounts. You have to have, like, the currencies that is available, like Bitcoins of the world, and there are a lot of other cryptocurrencies as well. You own them. So basically, if you like something as a product, which is nothing but, like, an NFT, like, create it, right? You kind of, initiate that transaction, and that's how the sale happens, or, like, you own that product. So if you heard, the author here kept on saying that NFT and metaverse is going to be owning the digital assets digitally. Now, say, for example, you are buying something from an Amazon or a Flipkart. While it is a digital place, you are going there and, like, making a transaction, but you are receiving the physical products delivered to you at your address, right? So you are, while it's a digital platform, but you are owning, like, physical products. But in case of NFT and metaverse, it is digital, like, platform, as well as you're owning things digitally. So think of it as the next level, where you are doing everything digitally. You are owning, maybe, like, a shoe digitally, or maybe you are owning a dress digitally, or maybe, like, you are owning, like, anything for that matter, right? Your music, or your basically anything that, you want to own digitally is nothing but an NFT. Maybe an art, or maybe I'm sure in the future, probably, like, there's going to be some more stuff getting added, right? So whatever that's required. And how does it impact the business? So, for example, like, there, as the example says, there are a lot of gamers, right? So gaming and media entertainment are the big, like, proponent of this. So if you are let's say, a brand, and you want to kind of, create an NFT that talks about a virtual avatar, and a gamer wants to kind of, pick that up, so that the gamer looks very smart, like, when he is interacting with, like, the rest of the universe, then that is actually a sale of your, like, your product, right? Your clothing, or maybe, let's say, for example, like, anything else, your attire, or your shoes, etc. So all these gaming company, all these brands, then they are able to kind of, create a digital experience accordingly, right? So essentially, the business model, the fundamental business model remains the same. It's the buying and the selling. It's about the marketing, buying, and sales. Where do you do it? That's the question. In this case, you do it in the metaverse. In this case, you do it through the NFT. You do it through the cryptocurrencies, or the bitcoins of the world, right? Whereas in the current world, in the physical world, we are seeing things right in front of us, like, it's a physical asset. Here, it is digital asset, and it is a digital world. That's the thing, right? So I hope that answers the question, right? But good question. Keep chatting, and keep and encourage the rest of the team as well to kind of, keep posting me the questions, and I'll go back to playing the video again for the next few sessions.
To customers. Just as many of us have digital wallets on our smartphones that are connected to our credit cards, in the future, we might have crypto wallets that connect to the blockchain and store our virtual coins. If this sounds like a sci-fi novel or movie, You're not too far off. Augmented reality pulls that next dimension of computing even closer to us, and the possibilities are endless. For example, in the fashion industry, there's a mad dash to become the apparel brand of choice for avatars. DressX is a startup company pioneering augmented reality fashion in collaboration with Snap. They encourage users not to shop less, but to buy digital fashion instead. While there's plenty of excitement for augmented reality as a way to display digital assets, it can also be a powerful commerce tool, as we've seen in the beauty industry. For example, beauty company L'Oreal was a leader in adapting augmented reality technology. It enabled customers to try on cosmetics in real time on their live video without having to even visit the beauty counter. This try before you buy technique can have even more powerful applications as the technology improves and becomes more seamlessly integrated into our lives. Smart glasses are the next generation of augmented reality devices, with companies like Facebook and Microsoft investing in the space and rumors of an Apple head-mounted device circulating. While we don't know who will win the hardware race, we do know that consumers are increasingly interested in engaging with augmented reality. According to Google's 2019 AR survey, 66% of people are interested in using augmented reality to help make purchasing decisions. Augmented reality is also shown to improve engagement time in e-commerce sites. AR is not just for marketing products, though. It can also be used to create new kinds of experiences that bring communities together in a new and interesting way. For example, during the pandemic when traditional art galleries were closed, there was a huge surge in geolocation-based AR displays that were outdoors and could be visited at any time. AR is the new lens through which we can layer art or any kind of digital information onto the world around us. The first step to leveraging augmented reality is to create high-quality 3D assets. Thankfully, platforms such as Shopify have a whole ecosystem of providers who can help you transform physical assets into 3D files for a variety of uses, including AR. There are also a number of talented augmented reality artists whom brands collaborate with in order to create new kinds of experiences. Dr. Helen Papagiannis is a digital artist who recently created augmented reality art for Louis Vuitton. Papagiannis was one of 200 artists asked to reimagine the iconic Louis Vuitton trunk for Louis Vuitton's 200th birthday. The AR displays are on view in over 400 store windows worldwide. If you're interested in diving deeper into augmented reality for marketing, do check out my augmented reality marketing class here on LinkedIn Learning. How often do you
Yeah, so I'll pause for a moment. As you heard, in terms of what are the business values and what I was explaining just before this video. So you have everything possible, starting from the brands to the music to the arts to everything that you can sell. A lot of us are already familiar with augmented reality. It's not new. I mean, I think even last few years as well, even before the metaverse actually started to kickstart, augmented reality was something that was kind of coming into practice a lot of times. For example, like in a lot of these car companies, when the new car is launched and you see an ad in your newspaper, you can actually use your phone and scan, and you can experience the augmented reality as if the car is right in front of you in your room, right? Or for example, if you're looking at H&M or any other retail, you can actually use augmented reality to dress up, or even look at what clothing or what jackets or what shirts or what glasses are kind of looking good on you. For example, even in India, the lens cart, I think that's a good example of how they have used when you go to their site, you you activate your camera and on your device, and then on your face, that gets captured, and then you can pick and choose what glasses will look good on you, be it a sunglass or be it a regular glasses, etc. So augmented reality and these techniques were being used for some time already. Now with the metaverse, this will just accelerate, because the world of meta is basically a different universe altogether. In fact, that is how the name even metaverse even came into the picture. So it's a combination of an alternate universe. an alternate universe in the digital world, right? So augmented reality is something that, like, that would really play a very important part in this as well, right? And we have an augmented reality session from the same author who is talking about, and we will see it in the class, like, what she has to talk about after we kind of finish this and we have the Q&As, etc. We'll see that, we'll go through that as well. But what I wanted to tell you is, like, augmented reality is also a very, very important aspect of how businesses can utilize this in the metaverse, how they can start creating or transforming the experience, the user experience that, like, users would want to, right? So that's augmented reality in the world of metaverse, right? So I'll play the next one now.
You send a text message to someone that is only composed of emojis to express how you're feeling. In some ways, emojis, and by extension our avatars, are becoming a sort of emotional surrogate for many of us. Avatars are the next frontier in online representation, which is why it's important to understand how consumers are using them and how marketers can leverage them. So long as we're human beings with physical bodies in a physical world, our avatars will continue to play an important role in how we enter the metaverse and how we represent ourselves inside it. For Craig Donato, the Chief Business Officer at Roblox, avatars should be both unique and aspirational. Unique in that we feel distinguished from others, yet recognizable to our friends. Aspirational in that they give us the chance to step into the shoes of our favorite celebrity or athlete or explore new identities. A big part of personalizing your avatar in online games is changing its outfit. This has presented a huge opportunity for fashion brands to get involved. Companies such as Nike and Ralph Lauren, for example, have collaborated with social platforms like Snap to provide wardrobe options for their users' avatars. Users can swap out their civilian clothing for a Nike tracksuit or a Ralph Lauren dress or polo. And this is just scratching the surface. Look under the hood of any metaverse platform, and you'll find collaborations with all kinds of apparel and footwear brands from Adidas to Balenciaga. It turns out that we care as much about how we appear online as we do in the physical world. Hence the creation of makeup filters and team jerseys that allow us to express our identity and our fandom. It may sound a bit out there, but as a marketer, you should be thinking about not only your customer, but also their avatar. Where does she spend most of her time representing herself online? And where can you step in to meet her? An avatar often gives the opportunity for a user to try on an identity or a style without the same real-life costs and consequences. Showing up where your customers spend time online can be a great way for them to discover who you are and to get to know your brand better. That is why direct-to-avatar is slowly becoming a new direct-to-consumer opportunity. Whether it's a Little Nas X skin in Roblox, a sword in Minecraft, or a Balenciaga hoodie in Fortnite, commerce is happening at unprecedented speeds and scale inside virtual worlds. And what we wear in the metaverse matters a lot, especially to Gen Z and Gen Alpha. So ask yourself, what will you wear in the metaverse? From avatars to virtual worlds to NFTs and virtual fashion, I hope this audio course has given you a chance to explore the future of marketing today and start to use some of the knowledge you've acquired in your marketing strategies. We have to admit that there is a lot of hype around the word metaverse right now. We've seen hype cycles in the tech industry before that have led to bubbles. The metaverse is the successor state of today's mobile internet. And in this evolution, and while the metaverse is being built, we will possibly see area-specific bubbles and market corrections. That being said, I have an expansive view of the metaverse that includes both virtual spaces and also the physical world. So if technology keeps accelerating at the rate it has, as long as gaming continues to grow and AR and wearables continue to evolve, the metaverse will continue to be a topic of great interest for marketers and brands today and in the years to come. As many brands continue to do marketing activations in metaverse platforms, it's also a good time for communications and creative professionals to focus on creating holistic metaverse and Web3 strategies. These actionable roadmaps should include a unified approach toward the future. Every brand will probably have a different and unique strategy and roadmap because there is no one-size-fits-all to approach the metaverse and Web3. The best advice I can give any brand or company that is interested in metaverse marketing and NFTs right now is to focus on understanding what the metaverse means for their brand, how to grow in new spaces, engage with new customers and communities, and take the time to create a holistic metaverse strategy. And this strategy needs to align with the brand's goals today and into the future. Thank you for listening to this audio course, and I hope to see you in the metaverse.
Okay, so as you heard, and in the last class as well, there were some questions about, like, what could be the pros and cons in the metaverse or in the digital world, etc. So as you heard that as long as, like, there are some requirements, or there are some requirements in terms of the certain industries, in terms of gaming and retail, etc. I think there's always a possibility of the metaverse kind of, like, doing well. But we also need to kind of, keep in mind that this concept is new, and a lot of times, like, what we are thinking today might not be the day tomorrow. I mean, things may change. So we also need to constantly evolve, and we also need to constantly keep in mind that, we need to learn and evolve, basically, right? So nothing is, like, fixed, that, like, it's a formula. So it's something new. It's something that, like, we need to learn and evolve. But the point is, like, this is the future, and there are great opportunities of, like, how we want to do things in this world of metaverse. How do we want to do sales? How do we want to do marketing? And you also heard that, like, career options as well. So for example, if you're a creative designer, or if you're a creative writer, or if you are a, even, like, you are a techie who is, like, good with coding, who is good with, like, creating virtual avatars, etc. So these are a lot of career opportunities as well, which you will find in the world of metaverse, right? So it's not only about understanding what the metaverse is, it's also about aligning your career interest, your career goals, or your career skill sets, for that matter, to see how things work in the metaverse. So that is also something, like, which you may want to keep in mind, like, going forward, if you think this is an area that interests you, right? So I'll pause for a moment, and I'll see if there are any questions that, you may have for me. Anything that you may want to ask? Because what is important is, like, you understand these concepts from the experts, and from whatever, like, the clippings which I'm showing, because these are curated content. And then also try to see, like, what are the possibilities, right? Possibilities in terms of, like, the business, possibilities in terms of, like, your own career, possibility in terms of, like, enhancing your skill sets, etc. So this opens up the whole world in front of you, and gives you that opportunity. So that's very important as well. So if you have any questions or thoughts, you can always let me know. If not, like, we will move on to the next, like, topic, and it is a continuation of, like, what we studied, or what we heard in the previous. So this is, while we talked about metaverse and the opportunities, but there was this very specific section on augmented reality, right? So I wanted to kind of, play some more, like, videos and materials, and share with you, so that you understand the role of augmented reality, and how it's kind of, becoming very prominent, and how it is important. And the next, like, I think, like, the session is going to be, what you're going to see is more around augmented reality. So let me share my screen.
By 2030, augmented reality is
And let me know, can you hear what I'm playing?
expected to boost the global economy by 1.
I stopped. Can you hear?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, fine. I'll play from the beginning again. Now, this is an important session by augmented reality. You'll get a lot of futuristic trends, and you will also understand, like, where we are currently. So a lot of you who are coming in from the tech background, a lot of you who are interested in the next generation of tech and how it is actually making an impact, this is going to be important, right? So Let's hear what the specialist has to say.
By 2030, augmented reality is expected to boost the global economy by $1.5 trillion. Today, almost 84 million people in the US use AR on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat every month. That accounts for 15% of the population. And this number is only expected to increase. I'm Kathy Hackle, and I've been working in the augmented reality industry for more than 6 years. And in this AR marketing strategies course, I'll teach you why AR is a key tool for marketers and content creators, how to plan, design, and deploy an AR marketing strategy, and also how to measure success using this new tool. If you aren't already using AR to market your brand, now is definitely the time to start. Your customers are already using digital tools on a regular basis to connect, to be entertained, to share experiences, and to shop. And they expect you to meet them where they are. You might be thinking, what does augmented reality actually do? Simply put, it overlays digital content onto the real world, usually using your phone's camera. When you look at your screen, you see a digital element that wouldn't otherwise be there. Two examples you might be familiar with are Pokemon Go, which puts animated creatures in front of you in a geolocated game, or of course, Instagram and Snapchat filters that make you look like a puppy. But AR can do so much more. It's no longer just a toy. It's a tool that brands can leverage to create engagement, empower customers, and convert sales at a higher rate. AR has the power to redefine a brand's digital customer experience. Today, there are more than 100 million consumers shopping with AR online and in stores. Plus, 74% of global consumers expect AR to be even more important in their lives in the next 5 years. Your consumers are already using AR, and you need to meet them where they are. So what can AR do for your brand? I see augmented reality as a tool that marketers can use to reach new consumers, but also allow them to experience their brand in a whole new way. Most people encounter AR in the pre-purchase moment. For example, trying on digital sunglasses to see how they fit on your face. These kinds of tactics can have a huge impact on conversion. According to research from Snap and Deloitte, interacting with products that have AR leads to a 94% higher conversion rate. 94%. Companies like Shopify report a 200% boost in conversions when merchants use AR for product visualization. That's because shoppers get a truer sense of the size, scale, and detail of products they're looking at. AR brings products to life and engages shoppers because they can turn any environment into their own showroom. Like these videos from 3DM that show 3D models of clothing items that allow shoppers to visualize them before they buy them. Or take the case of a beverage company that used AR to bring their labels to life using an AR-enabled app. Buyers could scan the label and a character would come to life and tell you their story. After this, they saw a 40% increase in volume of sales with more than 5.5 million app downloads in the last 5 years. The label has been so successful that stars like Snoop Dogg have partnered with them to launch their own AR-enabled products. So how do you start planning to add AR to your marketing mix? It all starts with thinking about your customer and how you can provide them with the most value. Ask yourself, who are you trying to reach with AR? How can you use this technology to create the most value for them? AR can provide utility and reduce friction for your customers, and it can also be fun. Albert Einstein once said, "Creativity is intelligence having fun." That's what it's like to add augmented reality to your marketing mix. It starts with making sure you have clear marketing goals and asking yourself if using AR can help you achieve those goals. For the purpose of this course, we're focusing on mobile AR. That's AR through a smartphone or tablet. Here are some simple steps you can follow to start your first AR campaign. First, you have to decide if augmented reality can help you achieve your marketing goals. Ask yourself, what are you trying to market? Services might be more difficult to convey in AR, though not impossible. Currently, AR works best for visual products. Think furniture you can put in your living room, menu items in a restaurant, or makeup you can try on with an AR filter. For example, Sephora uses augmented reality to allow customers to try on makeup virtually without even having to set foot inside a store. Figure out what your goals are and what you want to achieve. Is your goal to increase sales of a product, increase brand awareness, or reduce the number of returns? Understanding your intention will give you a clear roadmap for your AR campaign. Next, you need to think about the demographic you are trying to reach. Millennials and Gen Z are more likely to use AR than Gen X and Boomers. According to a report from Deloitte and Snap, Gen Z and Millennials are both 71% more likely to use AR all the time versus older generations. However, by 2025, nearly 75% of the global population and almost all smartphone users will be using AR frequently. Knowing your audience will help you decide how best to reach them and where to deploy your campaign. Will it be Snapchat, Instagram, or TikTok? Will you use Web AR, which can be accessed via browser? Or do you want to explore using head-mounted wearable devices? If your brand and target demographic are a good fit for AR, start thinking about the experience you want them to have. This is where it's time to get really creative. You've got to envision it from start to finish. Remember, with AR, so much is possible. For example, why not bring some virtual horses with you to the beach? Have fun with this process. Once you've started planning your AR campaign, it's time to define your brand's augmented reality identity. We'll do this using the 6 pillars of AR marketing. These include the traditional 5 Ps in marketing, which are product, price, place, people, and promotion. The 6th pillar is performance, which is how we judge the campaign's success. Let's start with people. I believe the people pillar is the most important thing to consider when developing augmented reality content. Remember, your customer is part of the experience. You're asking them to be active participants in your campaign. So what's your AR brand voice? Is it active, passive, helpful, or playful? Think about how that plays in an immersive space where things are completely different. Now, let's talk about the 2nd P, product. How does your product fit into augmented reality? Will you be showing product features, utility, or is it something just for fun? According to a study from Deloitte and Snap, 65% of consumers use AR to have fun. Fun is currently the biggest driver for AR. However, older generations are nearly 20% more likely to view AR for practical use. That's why it's so important to define your use case and audience. Now, let's talk about price. Traditionally, price is about the amount you're selling something for. With AR, it's about creating value in your experience. Is your AR campaign feeding impulse, or is it supporting a customer decision? For example, trying on AR lipstick supports the customer in their decision to pick a certain shade and gets them into the sales funnel. But watching an activation where the Game of Thrones dragon lands on a building might inspire the customer to go watch the show and renew their subscription. Now, let's talk about place. Where do your customers experience AR? Are they going to come across it on your website, or is it something you're going to share on social media? Will the AR experience be triggered by a physical product? For example, when customers use IKEA's app to look for a new couch, they can actually visualize that product in their own homes using augmented reality. Or when a person visits a location, they can get a whole new out-of-home experience. Like the use of augmented reality to launch Lego Mythica. Legoland worked with Sapar to help drive awareness to a new property, and this led to more downloads of the park's app before, during, and after park visits. Next, how will you promote your campaign? Once someone discovers your AR experience, they need to be able to share it with their friends, family, and followers. Augmented reality is magic, but people don't believe it until they've experienced it for themselves. Effective promotion is critical. When I launched my 2nd book, my co-author and I made the cover of the book AR enabled. And we also launched a face filter campaign on Facebook and Instagram. and we made the book a shareable experience. Now, think about performance. Every marketer knows that their campaigns are only as good as the metrics show. The good news is that augmented reality experiences are digital, which means they can be measured and tracked. Augmented reality KPIs are similar to some of the KPIs used in traditional marketing campaigns. An AR experience might have a call to action, like purchasing a movie ticket or buying a product. You can measure how long someone stays in the experience, what they interact with, and if they share it with others. You definitely want to measure all of this. For example, Shopify uses AR to upgrade the customer's experience, reduce returns, and boost sales. They report a 200% increase in conversions when merchants use AR for product visualization. Even though AR is a new medium, tracking KPIs helps you know that you're on the right track to adding value to your customer and reaching your company's goals. Your brand is your story, and with AR, consumers are moving away from passive storytelling and becoming an active part of your story. And the brands that embrace this change will thrive in the years to come. Every project, whether it's a traditional marketing campaign or augmented reality, needs a project plan. I'm not going to tell you how many months or days each step takes, because every campaign is different. An AR activation with one call to action, like a link to your website, won't take as long as a months-long AR campaign across social channels for the launch of a brand. The length of the process will depend on your specific AR campaign. Before the production process begins, make sure you have buy-in from key stakeholders, including financial and executive buy-in and backing for the project. You will also need to identify a dedicated project manager or project team. Let's dive into the design process. I've created a small handout to accompany this video that you can download and use to follow along. The first step is to come up with the concepts for the campaign. Are you doing the campaign around a holiday activation? Is it aligned to an important brand announcement, or is it something else? It's important to start with ideas, and through brainstorming and concepting, arriving at what you want to actually do and deploy with this campaign. Once you have your initial concept nailed down, you can move on to gathering the requirements that each stakeholder will need to contribute to the campaign. It's important for the project manager to lead this effort so that all requirements are centrally located. Next, gather all the content and start working on the UX and UI of the campaign. This step is very important because it will define what the AR campaign looks like. This will lead to prototyping the campaign so you can start testing and see how it actually looks. It's a good idea to have at least 2 or 3 prototype options to choose from. Once you decide on which prototype you want to move forward with, your creative team or your development partner will design and code the actual campaign. Development usually takes the longest amount of time when developing an AR campaign, but it all depends on the complexity of the experience and where you are deploying it. Once development is done, you are ready to unleash your AR creation into the world. Make sure you have a support team ready as you launch your campaign. Because like with any tech-related project, AR experiences require support after they go live. Decide how long your AR experience will be available so you know how long to support it. Once you've deployed your AR campaign, make sure you are measuring on a constant basis and iterate if needed. The success of any marketing campaign is determined by measurable results. The same holds true for augmented reality. If you're watching these videos, it's because you understand that the way that we do marketing today is changing, and that we will need new ways to reach younger audiences and new consumers. Think back to earlier in the course when we talked about planning your AR campaign. We discussed having clear goals and knowing what you want to measure. In this video, we will hone in on how to measure success in an AR world. Augmented reality is an experiential medium, and every time someone uses your AR content, they are showing you how engaged they are with that experience. While you can measure traditional metrics like click-through rates and in-app revenue, you can also measure augmented reality in new ways. I recommend that you look at the following experience metrics for augmented reality: dwell time, engagement, recall, and sentiment. Dwell time in augmented reality is the moment of time that goes by from the moment a user enters an AR experience to the moment that they leave it. To make an AR experience work, users have to engage with it. Engagement is usually measured on how many users choose to activate your AR experience, either through scanning an activation QR code or manually accessing the experience on their mobile web browser or using a social media platform. How users engage with the AR campaign will help you determine the best places to put your call to action. Augmented reality excels at recall. Studies have shown that AR drives higher levels of visual attention in the brain, and that memory encoding is 70% higher with AR. When we are active participants in learning or doing something new, like riding a bike or learning to play an instrument, we pick it up faster than listening to someone else explain it. Since users are active participants in AR campaigns, they can actually recall the product they interacted with a lot better. Sentiment analysis is essential in AR, since customer recall and engagement are increased. How your customer feels, whether positively or negatively, after using your AR experience will affect them a lot more than a video or audio ad. Augmented reality provides specific analytics on a campaign down to the individual target customer. AR can provide you with data that shows not just what your customer is looking at, but how they engage with it and how they feel about your product even before buying it. Now that we've looked at how to measure success in AR, you are ready to go out and start planning, designing, deploying, and measuring your AR campaign.
All right. So here are some quiz that the questions are going to kind of come through, right? So would you like to take the quiz right now, or
If you're not already using
conclusion? So what we can do is, like, you will see the quizzes here, and you will need to kind of answer it, like, soon enough, so that, like, it doesn't really stop, right?
If you're not
So the first question is, like, by 2025, what percentage of global population are expected to be frequent AR users? So I think the answer is 75%. You submit this. All right, that's correct. By 2025, what percentage of the global population are expected to be frequent AR users? That is the 25%, 75% is the correct answer. Then you go to the next question. According to Deloitte and Snap, interacting with AR leads to increased. Any answers? Any quick answers? You can mention in the chat. Anybody who like to answer? All right, let's see. Conversions. Which stage of an AR campaign typically takes the longest to complete? Any answers? You can mention in the chat, or you can speak. Okay, let's look at development. Okay, I see one chat coming through. Deployment. No, Hafida, sorry, it's not deployment, it's development. So development takes the maximum time. See, deployment is the last stage when everything is ready, and then you are kind of deploying it, right? But it is the development and the conceptualization that takes the maximum amount of time, right? And this is, by the way, true not only for an AR campaign, this is for any marketing campaign always. Now, while this example is very specific to the AR, but if you see, a lot of the terms mentioned here are also applicable for any other marketing and business and campaign stuff, right? And we'll talk about it a little bit more after like, we go through this. Okay, let's move on to the Next question. What is the sixth P in AR marketing? Like typically people who have done marketing or in the colleges or in their courses, etc., they know, there's some 4 P's of marketing and 5 P's of marketing, etc. What's the sixth P in AR marketing? Anybody answers on the chat? Who wants to take a shot at this? Sixth P. Anybody? No? All right, let's see if this is the correct answer or not. Performance, and yes, there you are. So performance. So performance is a key metric because in AR, it's all about enriching the customer's experience, right? While this is again an example, has been given in context of the AR, but if you look at the modern marketing, or if you look at any MBA classes or any classes where you actually study marketing, they will talk about the sixth P, and sixth P is very critical, that is performance. So every marketing activity that you do, performance and measure is very important, not only AR, but even traditional as well, right? Of course, here the example has been in terms of the AR. All right. So these were the, I think these were the questions. Oh, there is one more question actually. All right. What AR specific metrics should marketers assess? Right. Any answers to this? Any answers to this? What kind of metrics would you want to assess? Of course, a lot of common elements are there across all the 4 options, but then there is one option which is probably more close. Okay, I see an answer. Raghuram says performance, third option. Okay, that is, Raghuram, are you saying dwell time, fun, users, and creativity? Is that what you're saying? Okay, yes, sir. Okay, Abdullah also says third option. Okay. All right, any other options? Well, I think dwell time is definitely critical. Fun, users, and creativity is critical as well. But think of it from a marketer's point of view as to what would you want to measure. Can you measure fun? I'm not sure, right? Can you measure creativity? Also, I'm not sure. So let's see what is correct. Popularity. Okay, Abdullah says popularity. Let's see if I say this one. And what is the answer? That is correct, right? See, AR can still be measured with regular marketing metrics, but the 4 AR specific metrics that should be looked upon are dwell time, engagement, recall, and sentiment, right? That's important. See, fun, you can't measure fun. Fun is something very subjective. You can say, you know what, I had fun, but how will you measure that, right? Creativity, how will you measure creativity? Creativity is something which is used to implement, and how people are reacting based on that creativity is the measure of success. That has to be an action. So any measure of success actually has to be an action. Like dwell time is fine because the time you enter the AR experience and until the end, you are kind of spending some time, and before you kind of walk out of it, right? Engagement, again, what are you doing once you are into that AR environment? Are you clicking? Are you sharing? That is engagement. Recall, how much are you able to recall? After you have moved out of that experience, would you then take an action to purchase something because you recalled, yes, I had done something like that, right? And of course, a sentiment, positive sentiment. Oh, it was a feel good factor, or no, I didn't really like it. I think there could be something more improvement that can happen, etc. Right? So these are essentially the metrics that you would want to measure. And by the way, this is not only, while this is again an example of an AR, this is also true for a lot of modern generation of marketing or the campaigns that you do, even in social media, if you do, I think, or even if you go to a particular any digital marketing that you do, I think these are very important aspects you may want to measure. But for AR, this becomes even more important because you are using a platform which is experiential, and that's important for an AR, right? As soon as the experiential thing comes into the picture, then how to measure that success becomes important, because tomorrow you can always go and say, you know what, my engagement increased from X to Y, my recall increased by so much of percent, right? My sentiment improved by so much of percent. So which means all these are showing that the effort what you have put into the marketing or into the activity, the providing that experience to the users are actually paying off. And that's important, right? So hence, there is a question in the chat that Raghuram asks, what about in VR gaming, sir? Is that includes as a fun, as a marketer views according to the downloads? See, downloads are just one indicator of an action of how many people are wanting to probably, or at least showing an interest in that game, right? But it is not as a see, fun is again not a measure of success. So even in VR gamings as well, something very similar, what would you do, or how much time would you spend on that game, or how much time would you engage of using that immersive experience, etc., right? So that's important. So see, think of it, AR is one step higher than a VR. VR was the first one that was designed, and then now AR is the next step, right? So the logic would remain the same, how much the popularity would remain on the number of downloads. Yes, you can say if more people are downloading it, probably it is more popular, that is fine. But downloads are not the only measure, because a lot of times people download and then they remove that app as well. A lot of times we all download apps, but then we also remove that app, right? The question is how much engagement after downloading an app is important. I think that is the real measure of success. And this is not only true for any gaming app, but true for any app. So tomorrow, if you are actually using let's say for example an e-commerce app, or if you're using a travel app like ClearTrip or Make My Trip or GoIBibo or whatever that is, right? You may download, that's the first step, but after downloading, if you're not using it, then what's the point? So app engagement, always remember as a thumb rule that the true measure of success is the engagement metrics. How are you making the people or the users not only download but also engage, and also continue that engagement and improve upon that? That is the right measure of any such apps, whether it's gaming or non-gaming or whatever that is, right? Okay, now we move on to the next one, and then we see the conclusion. We'll play the conclusion video.
If you're not already using AR to market your brand, now is definitely the time to start. Your customers are already using digital tools on a regular basis to connect, to be entertained, to share experiences, and to shop. AR can influence every step of the customer journey, and you want to make sure that as an agency, as a brand, and as a business, you are ready to take advantage of this new technology. Remember that AR is a new and powerful tool for all marketers, and that by using AR, you are taking your brand into the future. Thanks for watching this course, and I look forward to seeing your AR campaigns succeed and come to life.
Okay, I'll stop sharing, and we can probably have some discussions around what we studied today. So the reason of why I showed you these topics, right? One is to understand the technology that is creating a lot of noise and that is relevant in today's world. That's one, right? Second is what is the right use of this technology? Right now in your class or in this group, a lot of you are pure technologists or comes from a pure technology background, and a lot of you are also from a non-technical background, right? But it is important to one group to understand the implication of the entire technology and how it is impacting businesses, right? It also is important to understand that what are the futuristic technologies, because say for example the group that comes from a technology background here may want to kind of pursue certain career in these domains, but what is the kind of jobs or what is the kind of projects that you would ultimately end up doing? So probably in terms of building the entire experience, or building the entire the backend, or coding, or creating that app, right? I think these are typically the jobs that a technologist would do. What would be probably the projects and the work that the non-technologists would probably do? They would be responsible then for taking it out in the market to the people, right? For people like us, where or people like others, where they are providing that experience to us through the communication. So I may not know about a particular product, or I may not know about a particular app. How am I made informed of it? Obviously, unless you market it or unless you sell it, then we would not know. So if you see, both the groups here have a very important and equally important and critical role to play. One looks at it from more of a technology perspective. For them, it is important to understand how your colleagues are going to market it. And vice versa is also true. The people or the group who are non-technologists here should also understand it's not only about marketing. You can market or you can sell a product well only if you understand what's happening in the backend. How are your colleagues actually building it? What's the technology behind it? Now, you may not want to be an expert, and that is totally fine, but at least you need to understand that what is the core concept. Because if you understand the core concept, then you will find it easier to market it better, right? So that's important, and that is the critical part, right? So there is a healthy blend of technology and marketing and sales and business, and one needs to understand that how in an ecosystem everybody is coexisting. It's not that one is working in a silo. I cannot be saying, oh, you know what, I am just a marketer and I don't want to understand technology. No, that's not fair. Similarly, the technologists should also not say, you know what, oh, we are the ones who are coding, we are the ones who are kind of creating this game, or we are the ones who are creating this experience of an AR, right? But we don't really care how it is marketed. So no, that's not true as well. So in a real time, if you go out in the market and actually start working in an organization, you will see that every organization or any organization or any teams within an organization that is successful has a very good coexistence between the technology and the sales and the business teams. Because moment there is a understanding, moment there is a harmony, one understands what each of the functions are kind of doing, etc. That's where it becomes easy, or it becomes much more meaningful to have those business driving conversations, right? So that's one thing I would want to really leave you with a thought, as to understand from the core in terms of the strategy and also in terms of how things are done in both the worlds, right? I think that's important. Secondly, the purpose of showing you this these two examples and these two kind of slides, etc., was also to make you realize that tomorrow, if you have to make some presentations, or if you have to do some sort of a pitch, right? How would you typically create that flow? How would you create that storytelling? And I think that's important, right? So while of course you saw the video and how the author actually created those videos and was articulating, even if you don't create a video, even if you simply create a presentation or any kind of pitch that you may want to talk about, it's important to know that what would you want to talk and what is that flow and the narrative, like 1 2 3 4 5, right? Whatever the topic is, whatever, be it AR, be it non-AR, doesn't matter, right? So you should also understand that how one leads to that, right? So instead of having a disjointed effort in terms of picking up content here or picking up content there and then talking about it, it's also important to understand your presentation skills, because that is going to be very important in the future, be it like, now, or even like, when you're kind of, like, working in some organizations, or a lot of organizations, they actually have like, a specific like, rounds where they ask for presentation rounds as a part of your interview process, right? Even in our organizations where I work right now currently, we have that too. We have like, one specific round which talks about, which is completely about presentation and reviewed by a panel, because the presentation is very critical, because that is where we want to judge, or we want to understand how much effort the person has actually put into understanding a problem, and how easily the person is able to narrate that in a flow. So this is also important. The more such videos that you see, you will also understand how the narration works. And of course, today was the first couple of examples of videos. In the future classes, we will have more such videos played on different various topics, and I will choose those topics like, which will be relevant for you. Some of the topics are going to be around like, the actual work that you are going to do. Some of the topics are going to be like, around more development oriented. So for example, how do you kind of, crack an interview, or how do you typically build your brand, or how do you kind of, ensure that like, you are communicating during a presentation. So LinkedIn Learning actually provides you with all such possible skill sets that you can think of, right? And over the next few classes, we will definitely see more and more and more, because I think that it's a healthy way of kind of, understanding like, what the experts are talking about, what content you are seeing, at the same time having those discussions as well as a group. So we will see all those things, but the purpose of showing you all this is because like, I wanted you to understand that this is how the industry actually looks like. This is how typically like, you will face situations or challenges or questions, or like, which you need to kind of, answer when people are kind of, asking you, or solve a case study, or solve like, some sort of a challenging situation, etc. And that's what like, I wanted you to kind of, get into that mindset of understanding, right? So of course topics will be different, and we can always decide on like, what topics like, we choose, etc. But irrespective of the topics, I think is the larger skill sets that you are supposed to kind of, build, right? So topics can be varied, and not everybody will be interested in the same topics at all point in time. So we'll try to see like, how we can pick up those topics, but then the fundamental is important. And I think as you are in the college and as you are kind of, studying, I think getting these fundamentals are the most important thing, which you will be able to apply, right? So yeah, that was the intention of like, showing this thing. So I'll stop for some time, and I'll see if like, any one of you have any questions or any recommendations or anything that you may want to talk about for the future classes in terms of topics, etc. Let's hear that from you. Yeah, you can either like, post your questions in the chat, or you can kind of, speak. I think that's fine. But it's good. Like today we had interaction in terms of a lot of you actually took that quiz. A lot of you actually had questions and suggestions, and that's important, because in the class, like, when you start doing that, then I think it also becomes a very interactive class accordingly, right? And in the future courses, we'll see more such quizzes coming up, so we'll make it interactive. But any questions or any thoughts, etc. that you have? Anything? Okay, I see a question here from Raghuram. What about the use of mobiles in the future, right? Raghuram, that's a great question. And all I can tell you is like, the usage of mobiles is only going to go up, right? If you think of 10-15 years back, and if you see the journey of how the industry of mobiles evolved from your feature phones to smartphones, and then within the smartphones, the revolution that has been created, right, by the different companies like Apples and Googles and Samsungs of the world, etc., it's only going to go up. There is no second option or an alternative. Because if you see, if a digital economy has to work, then mobile becomes critical, because the entire ecosystem, a lot of that is dependent on your handset. The thing that you will see is, you will only see improvement and enhancements in the technology that is being used in the mobile, right? And that's important. So now look at Android versus iOS. Right now, Apple traditionally has always been like a pioneer of what you call as an experience. That is the USP. They always say once you use an Apple or an iPhone, you can't move to anything else, right? Whereas Android tells you that, you know what, we can also create the experience. It's no big deal. But at the same time, we are providing much more easy way to develop codes. So an Android developer is able to come up with things much more faster because of the nature of the technology or the coding ecosystem that Android developers actually get it, right? So it's open source, right? So what ultimately is happening is, for the consumers like us, we are seeing options in the market. Now going forward, what we would do is, we would be just looking at enhancing our user experience, and we would be going ahead and adopting and purchasing those handsets which is high end and higher end and higher end, and that's the future. And then of course, with technologies like 5G coming in, it's going to be a revolution. It's already started in India, right? In the globe, it has started earlier as well. That's a revolution. We are talking about augmented reality, we are talking about metaverse. All these different aspects of technological revolution is ultimately going to be inbuilt as a system in the mobile handsets that we use. So, and that becomes the easiest way to get to or experience a technology or experience an option, right? So the future of mobiles is going to be just escalating even more, like 20 times more or 30 times more, or even more than that, that we see right now. Because mobile is the future. Mobile was always the future. Even 10 years back also, people said mobile is the future. But now we are also saying that mobile is like the continuous future, because there isn't a way how best probably you can do without a smartphone or do without a mobile, right? Your entire ecosystem, from payments to shopping to gaming to experience to your health and wellness, everything is getting linked with mobile. Everything is linked with technology and experience, right? So this entire ecosystem is something which is very strong. So yeah, so mobile commerce, mobile gaming, healthcare, education, right? Experiencing education through your mobile handsets, the Byju's of the world, they actually have those products which they offer. So name anything and that's possible in mobile. So the question to be asked is, how can companies then keep enhancing the experience? Like a lot of times Apple gets a flack from the industry saying that, what, you're launching iPhones, iPhone Pro, etc. We are only seeing some experience in terms of the cameras being better. What about the actual experience or the actual technology? Or are you able to take it to the next level, right? So these are tough questions that is being posed to this to these companies. So somewhere down the line, the mobile companies have to figure out, how can we constantly keep on increasing the experience or improving the technology, and let the people adopt it. The adoption becomes important as well as a thing, right? So yeah, so I hope that answers the question, Raghuram, that the future is a lot to do with mobiles and smartphones, for sure. It's not ended yet. In fact, I don't think it will end, because the kind of technology and the kind of offerings that we have in the market, I think mobile is at the heart of it. You cannot do without it. That's a good question. Right? More questions? Okay. Anything from the Kionix team or Sarit sir, if you are present? Any thoughts, any comments?
Yeah, I think, Soumyajit,
Hmm.
see, the thing is that they are maybe in the introspection mode right now. I'll just like to share what other experts have done. They have divided into groups and they have given them some projects. And there's an assignment given which is going to be evaluated this Saturday, Sunday. I think Nisha madam, you are there? Nisha madam? Okay. The coordinators will be there from the college along with our coordinators, Harinakshi and team. They are, finalizing it this Saturday, Sunday, but that depends totally up to you how you would like to do it. In case you also want an evaluation, then you can always give them a small, a small topic, maybe to begin with a very light topic on which they can give a sort of a presentation and you can evaluate. I think the first evaluation, Soumyajit, you can take it as let them speak. Maybe we can give them about 2-3 topics and let them speak. And maybe on a communication angle to let them come out of their comfort zone, that thing which they have, which people holds up to talking, that they should now freely talk. So maybe the first evaluation can be very light, where you give them something and they just speak on a topic. I leave it to you. The choice is yours. I mean, this is what I was thinking. So maybe after one more session, you can give them an assignment. And then maybe the last evaluation can be a 3-hour or what on evaluation. Now they've been divided into groups. Let me tell you, a group of 10 to 15 people, and each of them they will be doing either a project or an assignment. And a name is given, and that is how we are going forward. But you can choose your way in whatever fashion you want to take it up in the future. This is what.
Sure. No, sir. Thank you.
And
Thank
the
you so much.
coordinators are always there. My coordinator, my college team, as well as the college team is there. So in concurrence, my team is working with them. Let me tell you now what we have done differently is, apart from you people doing online, my L2 will be completely offline now. They will not do any online classes. They'll be doing only offline classes because this is a college. You will continue the online. So in case you want to give an assignment which can be, evaluated by my L2 also. Now in this project, my L2 will not be evaluated. It is only the students will be evaluated.
Right.
Students, and if required, the student coordinators. That is what is the change in the batch 2 from batch 1. I hope I answered your question.
Yes. No, thank you, sir. In fact, I was thinking something very similar. I was also thinking that, like, one more class which we have this week, we'll complete that. So, and then the last 2 can be the project and the evaluation. So yes, I think I'm in sync with what you are thinking. So
very good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the only one thing maybe I'll reach out to Harinakshi and the Clionics team is to understand, like, how the others have done the groupings. Maybe we can keep a very similar grouping itself, not to change too much, with like group of 10, 15 or whatever that is, right? And I'll look at it and then I'll figure out the topics itself.
Perfect. Thank you Soumyajit.
Okay, all right. I think thank you all. Thank you all for attending the class and, like, having the interactive and like asking questions, etc. And we'll just like to see more in the future coming up. Yes. So I'll see you in the next class. And yeah, have a good day. We'll see you in the next class. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.